Welcome back, everyone. The Muffin here. Another tips and tricks subscriber request on the Black Prince. Apparently, there's not too many guides. I do have a tips and tricks playlist I'm compiling. If you're struggling with the tank, shoot over there. Hopefully, there'll be a vid that can help. So diving right into the Black Prince. This is a tank I haven't played with in a long time, but from diving into it at the beginning and going through my thought process is you'll notice that I'm looking around and paying attention to where my team is. And the thing about slow tanks like the Black Prince that are heavily armored is very well so in a position to cut more center, because if you go completely on one side of the map or the other and the entire enemy then appears on the other side of the map opposite from where you are, it's going to take you a long time to get back into the battle. So as you see here, I started looking around. I wanted to see, okay, there's some tanks behind me that are sniping, some destroyers. I had some heavies going on the other side, but being very conscious and aware of where your team setup is as you're positioning yourself center is very important. And not only that, but making sure that you are keeping yourself exposed to your teammates so that they have view range. If you get yourself in a bad position, you can try side scraping, holding them off, and then your team can help provide that suppressive or supporting fire. So the Black Prince is a quite interesting tank because it is very slow. And the thing is as far as its strength goes, is it has an excellent DPM. You can really fork out the damage in this thing. Its accuracy is okay, gun depression, and it's much more of a, it does okay like in this, like with some hill, like nothing too steep, but it is much more of a flat ground. And if you can get yourself in a position to side scrape or even make sure that you're angling at all times when facing an enemy, that's going to be pretty key, because the thing about the Black Prince is you have two plates on the front of your hull that are fairly flat and can be fairly easy pinned by enemies, and you'll see that multiple times. So the Black Prince is all about getting up on the front lines, being able to angle, most importantly side scrape if you can, and you'll just be an absolute beast in this thing. That is really what the Black Prince is all about. So when I'm going into a position here, I didn't want to go completely up and push on this hill because I am very slow, and this other T-25 could just, I mean, he would definitely, I would just drain my hit point pool. But you can see here, I mean, he is a tank destroyer, which those typically have the best cannons. Doesn't have a hard time, but I'm trying to keep myself angled at all times when fully exposed against him. And as you can see, if you can really get your cannon in the open against the enemies, you can really rip enemies apart. So that is one of the really good strengths about the Black Prince. So I've got two replays here back to back, and but I would say, just to reiterate, that is like very key. Is one, you're very slow. Two, you've got pretty good armor, but you've got to protect those two pretty flat hull areas. And number three is if you can get yourself quickly into the action fast enough, which is why I recommend going more center of the map, but keeping in mind to keep yourself exposed to your team so they have clear view range on you to provide that support if needs be. This thing can really get in and just rip the enemy apart. So, and I'm trying to keep myself in areas that is going to give me some good visibility. So I'm not, in this replay, I'm not going down into that ditch because it's not going to give me good view range. I'm going more center because I need to get myself, being a slow armored tank, into the action as fast as possible. Now you'll see here, this guy, I'm not side scraping, I'm trying to angle, and he doesn't have that hard of a time penetrating me. So getting yourself into a position, if you can angle and side scrape, you really almost can become invincible in this thing. It's really those two flat hulls, when exposed, can be fairly easy to penetrate. And I lose a lot of my hit point pool just because of those two flatter plates. But if you can side scrape, as I was talking about, you can really put yourself in a very powerful position. So here I'm being very conscientious. I didn't push along the right-hand side because most of my team is over here on the left side of the map. So I'm always paying attention to my team lineup and where my enemy lineup is as I'm making those progressive decisions through the maps on where to go next. So I decided to push up here left because if I would have pushed up there right, you can see the lineup that they have a lot more on the right side of even just the town itself and could have put me in a really bad position. So utilizing your team when going center, staying clear of being in view range of them, understanding enemy lineup is really going to be key in helping you position yourself more effectively. So here I'm trying to side scrape, and as you can see, a lot of the tanks, enemy tanks, don't even really bother. Now the other thing too about the Black Prince is you'll notice I have to use APCR rounds just to penetrate the face of this Tiger II. So when coming across a being a heavy tank and side scraping, cutting center, you're going to be facing tanks with heavy armor. So it is very important for you as a heavy and a Black Prince. Penetration is okay, but to make sure that you're carrying those APCR rounds because they will definitely come in handy. If I didn't have any APCR rounds, I would have definitely had no chance really against that Tiger II. So here I'm very low hit points, so I was trying to use some of the destroyed tanks to protect myself from getting hit. This game is just basically finishing up, but anyway, hope this tips and tricks review was helpful for those maybe looking for tips on the Black Prince, because if you're completely going on one side of the map or you're not paying attention to your team setup, you can really get yourself in a bad position. So anyway, this is the Muffin here. You guys stay cool and keep tanking.